Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Meeting of the Beaufort County Board of Education Operations Committee, November 14th, 2023, in the District Education Services Center, Conference Room E, and also remote hybrid conferencing meeting. The meeting will be live streamed on the school board's YouTube channel. Request for public comments already passed the time, and we've had no comments presented. So the first item on the agenda is a call to order, that which we've done, and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me. Flag is back wall. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
the Republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
and justice for all. Very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Hey, can you give me a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you.
Let's see. Is this the appropriate time now?
Yes. Yes.
I move that due to exigent circumstances, the agenda be amended to add the following executive session matter: receipt of legal advice relating to the pending quiet title action legal claim pursuant to South Carolina Code annotated section 30 tac 4 tac 70 A2.
I will second that motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nothing heard. Motion carries. So we'll go back to the approval of the agenda, and I will second that motion that was made before the amendment. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, public comments. We have no public comments. Next item, approval of October 10th, 2023 committee meeting minutes. We have a motion to approve the committee meeting minutes from October 10th.
So moved.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on. Next item on the agenda is OE 15, safety and security.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for coming. You can see I've got about 500 pages here. Don't worry, I'm not going to go over every single page. I'll be here a couple hours. But I would like to thank everybody here from HR to operations to finance to everybody has a part in our safety and security in this district. It's not just a one-man show or a one group show. It's everybody. And as you can see by the table right now, quite a few people here that are involved with this, and even some people that are not here. So the first thing we're going to go over is attachment 1. As you know, we have SROs in every single middle school and high school in the district. And for the first time, we now have SRO police officers in 9 elementary schools. The rest of the elementaries and the ECCs have coastal security, with a plan in place to eventually have all SROs in all schools, including the elementaries and ECCs. The coastal security we do have in place, they are SLED certified, fully trained armed security officers who do a great job for us. In fact, they fill in a lot of the sporting events and extracurricular activity when they can't get a police officer. They even do some of the board meetings on some nights. So I'm going to go through this quick. You can ask questions as we go if you want. Anybody have a question about what we do for high schools, middle schools, and elementaries?
Mr. Nay, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Dallas, any questions?
No, sir, Colonel. Thanks for the checking. Appreciate it. Just learn.
Okay, let's go ahead, please.
Okay, attachment 2 deals with bullying, and I have Ms. Grant here to talk about bullying.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I'm Alvila Graham. I work in student services as the administrator for student success. I've been in this position for about maybe 16 months now. And in this position, I actually plan the activities for the month of October for bullying prevention. I give schools some resources they can use to carry out activities for bullying prevention, but not only that, during this past semester, in collaboration with the crisis prevention specialists, I am part of a team that has been going out to schools to talk about the correlation between bullying prevention and school safety. What we do when we go out, I talk about bullying, I share information about our See Something, Say Something numbers. We talk about that and have discussions about that, but not only that, we talk about how some of these instances, if not prevented, can lead to other things in schools like school violence. So that's some of the conversations that we've been having as we've been going out to schools. And I plan to continue to work closely with our schools regarding prevention. One of the things I've noticed is that we have a number of students, elementary, middle, and high, that are using our See Something, Say Something app. We talk about the kids are using that app. However, we talk about prevention is important, but also relationships are important as well. They go hand in hand. We have students that are sitting in front of us that are on devices, and they're recording incidences that are happening in schools, but not talking to the adults in the building. So we are working with schools, me along with the Director of Student Success, Derek Skaggs, about how we can go into the schools and partner with schools and work with them to work with their teachers and their staff about how we can create positive school environments that kids feel comfortable enough talking to the adults in the building and sharing what's going on with the adults in the building. Again, like I said, I work with prevention, but I also work with establishing relationships that need to happen within those buildings, because that goes hand in hand. Regarding some of the activities that happened this school year and in the past, for our 6th grade students, our Beaufort High School theater is having their performance of the See Something, Say Something play. We get a lot of responses from a lot of positive feedback from our 6th graders and our families about that performance. I think it's important for our students to see that information or hear that message from their peers. A lot of times as adults, we talk about, bullying prevention, but if they can hear that information directly from a peer, we feel that that actually makes a difference and the kids are more responsive to that. I am also working with the South Carolina Department of Education to talk about how I can bring someone into our district and our schools to talk about how we can partner with the State Department to put more bullying prevention or resources available for our schools and to help combat this issue that we're finding within our schools.
Do you have any questions?
Mr. Nate, do you have any question?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Just want to thank Ms. Graham for helping me understand it a little bit more. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell?
No.
I have one question.
Yes,
And
sir.
that question is, what is your link for parents to report bullying?
And thank you for asking that question. So they can also report on the See Something, Say Something link. They can also report a concern on our district website. We have the report a concern link that they can use as well. So parents have multiple ways of reporting a concern to us. They can also report it directly to their schools as well.
And how do they know that?
That's a good question. So we work with our schools to make sure that they are, say it's their SIC meeting or even their school newsletter, make sure that information is out to parents. Because we can address bullying if we know about it, but people don't know that we can address the issue if they don't know how to report. And you're right. So making sure that we send that information out, that it goes out in a newsletter, it goes out in their not robocalls, but school messengers, and just making sure that that information is out there. I know within schools, some of the schools have that posted as soon as you come in the front office. They have it where you can scan the QR code and you can report a concern. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, for attachment 3, Ms. Murray's here to talk about gaggle, and I'll say a couple things about it real quick before she gets started. I mean, I think even today, we probably had,
Well, that's why I was just getting in here.
we've had probably 10 to 15 gaggle alerts, and we get, I don't know, it seems like 20 things by the day.
Explain gaggle.
She's gonna explain that to me right now. I just want to throw that out there. So Ms. Murray, the floor is yours.
And she can use my notes. But Gaggle is basically a monitoring software that analyzes students, Google, and they don't necessarily use Microsoft, but any keywords that go in, matter of fact, I'm working on one now, because there were some keywords that flagged and gaggle, and I'm wondering if I have to step out, it's to talk to a deputy. But any keywords about violence toward others, feeling threatened, wanting to hurt or self-harm, depression, any of those key buzzwords that cause it to be flagged. And there are two different categories. There is questionable content, and possible student situation. And a possible student situation requires immediate follow-up. That is where it is a clear threat either to self or others. And we follow up with that. I am the administrator for the district. And there's 5 or 6 of us that are on there. But we also have an after hours component, which is why I'm still dealing with them right now. And it continues to monitor as long as the students are using their district issued device. It will pick up whether they're in the building, at home, wherever they may be. It will pick up and it will send a notification. In this case, I had to, because it was after school hours, I had to call dispatch to ensure that a deputy went out to check on it because there was a threat. It wasn't a direct threat, but it was a threat. So that there was follow-up, and I'm also texting back and forth with the principal because he's actually in the SIC meeting right now. So that's how it goes. In the event that it comes in at night, after hours will dispatch a deputy. They are tied in to the bare minimum of our power school, so they're able to get the address, go out and actually do a check right then. And in that case, I follow up the following morning. But we know that someone is out. It took us about a year and a half or so to get after hours fully implemented. It was fully implemented as of March of this year.
Okay. Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you. Very informative. Appreciate you.
Mr. Smith, do you have any questions? Mr. Smith?
You're muted if you're speaking.
Okay, I'm gonna move on. Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions? Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
No questions, but just want to share that it's very comforting to hear what Ms. Murray has shared. Thank you very much.
This is very informative, and I look forward to hearing more about this.
Okay, the next one, attachment 5, that's mine, that's our lockdowns and our phase training and our canine searches. So every school has had their first round of phase training with their local law enforcement, whether it be Bluffton or Beaufort City or the county or even Port Royal. Also, every school has had 2 lockdowns so far. We are right now, well, most of the schools have had their second lockdown. We're in the process of finishing that now. State law requires us to do 2 lockdowns. The district requires 3. So the second lockdowns will be completed hopefully by Christmas. January and February will be the 3rd lockdown. The high schools and middle schools are in the process now of doing their canine searches. And high schools do the parking lots of all the vehicles. And the middle schools do inside, and we take anywhere between 20 and 25 classrooms in search. So, any questions on that? Smith, you have a question?
Yes, sir. In terms of lockdowns, how regular are we doing lockdowns?
State law requires us to do 2 per year for each school. The district requires 3. One of those lockdowns has to be during a passing period, whether it be at lunch or between classes as students are walking.
And what lockdown exactly?
Lockdowns is if school thinks something's a threat inside the school. So a lockdown is when all doors are locked, lights are out, all phones are off, TVs are off, kids are in a corner out of line of sight through a window or a door, hunkered down, being quiet, waiting for law enforcement to clear it. Law enforcement is the only one who can clear a classroom.
Right, and what you just said, that's how much the district is doing per building or per schools per district?
Per building, per school. Each school is required to do 3 lockdowns. In addition to their other drills they do.
I guess the other drills that they do, it's gonna come today as well.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
The other drill they do, you're gonna present those as
Well,
well?
the other drills are their monthly fire drills, their earthquake drill, their tornado drills. Those are the other ones that they're required to do.
What is that in your report?
No, it's in there in the requirements. It's not in my report that I'm gonna give you, but it is in there.
Okay, well, yeah, I think that needs to be in the report.
It's a,
I'm just stating that it was not, I'm saying that it needs to be in the report that you give in terms of now what the state gives, so we can account of what is going on in the district. Because what happens is, from my understanding, if we go with a report of what the state is doing, that's what we require to say, oh, it's doing, I don't, not a hard assumption, it's a clear understanding when you put in your report, what is being done in the district.
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
there's a difference.
yeah. So when the school year starts, I send out a requirement list.
Right.
Me and Jerry, we're working on it together. We send out a requirement list that talks about their fire drills, their craze training, their lockdowns, their earthquake drills, their all that stuff is given their dates and the times they're supposed to be done by. It's all there. And Jerry does a good job of keeping all that tracked on Google spreadsheet, where they have to go in there and document the date and time they did the drills.
Yeah, and that's all that for that drill, but I also do that in terms of other drills that's in drills of looking in school searches. I'm looking for that report on that as well under this. In terms of security.
So the searches, every school will do 2 K9 searches per year, depending on K9 availability with the police departments. I would love to do more, but sometimes the K9s aren't available. They're only available on Wednesdays. That's their training day.
And you know what? It's sad that the kids know that. The kids said that the K9s only come on Wednesday. And so, you know, to me that's problematic that the kids know. I don't know, but the kids told me.
They may know that, but just for example, we took a weapon out of a car doing the K9 search.
That sounds good. That's almost as in terms of me not really supporting the pretest. You know, if we're not going to do nothing about it, then you know no need. But in terms of the kids knowing that, then that's just that lucky shot at that time. Maybe that kid didn't know yet. And all the other kids are saying, "Oh yeah, everybody else knew except for you." So I mean, that's just to me, it's not credible. And also, we need to change something up. I mean, when the kids know it, then when you keep doing the same thing over and over, that's insanity. I mean, that's bad when the kids can tell you.
I guess my question would be, what kids are telling you that they know the drill is coming? The K9 search is
Kids in the community, yes. Kids in the community that I serve.
okay. That's just the first I've heard of kids knowing about it. Certainly, we can look at changing the date if possible with the K9 team. That's the first information I've ever received that the kids know that's coming.
Well,
In fact, I get just the opposite information from the kids in the school when I'm there. They all seem shocked, and that's news to me that somebody's aware of it.
well, they're smart. They're smart enough to be shocked. I wouldn't. You the police. I wouldn't tell you either. What you don't know. I mean, so of course you're shocked, but in terms of them telling me that, I didn't take it seriously. I think that okay, well, Wednesdays okay, but when the kids are smart enough to say that it happens on Wednesdays, then obviously, so this kind of behavior it's been going on for years, and they've been watching, and so that's why
That's not true. This is the first year we're making them on Wednesdays, so that's not true.
But I'm telling
Last year
you,
they were on. Go ahead.
okay, well, I'm telling you, obviously, some kids know. The kids have said that it's on Wednesdays. That they only church and school on Wednesdays, and so therefore that's what kids in the community have told me on Wednesdays. And my concern is that actually that we need to possibly do more searches. Wherever we need dogs from someplace else. I mean that's my.
I'll definitely take a look at that. And discuss that with the sheriff's department, see if we can alternate the dates sometimes. Not a bad idea.
Okay.
Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
No, I did not. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Very impressed by the program and frequency.
Mr. Campbell does not. Please go on.
Okay, action 6 will be Wendy. Model fire and safety policy.
Okay. It's also an item on the agenda, but I will, sure,
You want to do that, set it for the agenda?
whatever you like me to do.
Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So what we have for the board's review is we have updated our model fire and safety program for schools. And we've submitted 2 documents for the board's review. One is the red line version and the other is the.
Can you speak a little louder? I'm
Sure.
not sure.
Oh, yes, sir. We have updated our fire and safety program for Beaufort County Schools, and the changes, revisions that we have made are outlined in red. And the significant changes that I wanted to point out is on page 5, we are mandated by the fire code to perform annual inspections, tests, and maintenance of fire rated doors. And these are completed in accordance with the National Fire Program Association, and records of these inspections and their maintenance of the fire rated shutters are maintained on the property and made available to the fire code official upon request. And I had, Jillian, I had a very productive meeting with Dan Burnham, who's one of the fire marshals, to review this document. Under response plans and programs, something that we've added that is very important is that we have, that's on page 7, is that every school has a plan for people, individuals, students, and staff who are unable to use the normal egress. So they need assistance. They may be in a wheelchair, or they may need to become accompanied. And each school has a plan with staff assigned to give mobility assistance in the event of emergency. And that list is here included. In addition, fire evacuation plans in accordance with the South Carolina Fire Code are included on items 1 through 10. And those are mandated that we must comply with. And if you look further with me in this document, starting on page number 16, I believe, yes, on page 16. First of all, on page 16, you'll see that we have a list of all students with mobility challenges, and each school has a plan for each child with a backup. And then starting on page 17, these charts have all been updated for every one of our school facilities, adult ed in all our schools and our ECCs, who's responsible for doing what. So we're going to be, if the board approves it, we'll be submitting this. Mr. Grisinoff, she will be submitting it to the South Carolina Department of Education.
This is a required report to the state.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And who does the state inspect this?
They can bring people, they could bring the fire marshals involved in inspecting at the local level, but they could come down here and look at us just like they do with the audits and stuff. They could.
You have any question?
You have.
We'll see if anybody else have any questions.
Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
Yes, I saw that like the fire plans for each individual school were all redlined. Did we not have any of that prior to this?
No, no, sir. Mr. Nay, we've had these plans in effect for years, but we have to update them every year because principals change, staff changes.
Gotcha. And then all the list of students with mobility issues, that doesn't seem practical to me. I mean, with students constantly rotating in and out of the district, transferring in, transferring out, the status of students changing so often. What's the point of having the list if it's going to change so often?
Well, we have to have a list of for each school and who has mobility challenges, but it's updated students change too. But this was for this report, but it will be changing, just like staff changes, sir.
Gotcha. So that list is required by the state?
Yeah, we have to demonstrate that we have a plan for each student or staff member well, these are students, but we also do with our staff members too, if they need it. But yes, we have to have a plan for each one.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for clarifying. Appreciate you.
That's it. It's very interesting. Also, I wanted to thank the operations department and all of you for your help and your team. Everybody helped to do this report. Thank you.
Mr. Campbell, do you have any questions? Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
Colonel, thank you. This is just another area which I am tremendously impressed by the detail and the coverage that's provided to our personnel, our staff, and the students. And I don't know, but if there were a way to have a small blurb that could go out to the general public in a very discreet manner, and I don't know that we can do that, but excuse me, it would be nice if people knew the extent to which the school district goes to protect all of this people, students, teachers, administrators, what have you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'll expand on that. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I want to respond to what my colleague just said. Mr. Dallas. I partly agree, but I think that doing that it could be a dangerous to our staff as well. Because if someone was that could be a safety and security issue. If someone knew some of this information in here, and then they were planning on doing something, then I think that this would be some of this may be too much information to have put out. So I mean, I just think that we want to be very cognizant and cautious in how we do that. But just to move on to the other part of this is let me ask you, in terms of I know we have security, we have someone who tests security. Who's in charge of our fire extinguishers and our basically our fire inspections? Who's in charge of that? What's that process?
So,
Yeah, that's under the maintenance contract, so ABM is responsible for inspecting all fire extinguishers, all hoods and kitchens, all safety devices of that kind.
Well, me personally, I'm telling you, I'm not going to support this because of the fact that I would like for the fire inspection that's been upon the district that went out before expecting this, because that would give me the confidence that I need. Because I have been to some schools and I have seen that there are things that are questionable. I know that some schools have not passed fire inspections. That there were some things that we had to get together. So doing that would make knowing that we've had that those things are fixed and we have that across the board, and we can say that all those things were in place. Now I would feel more confident in moving this tool forward. But due to that, I think that I feel that I would be calling the cart before the horse. So because of that, I just don't feel confident enough myself to move this document forward.
I didn't want to mislead you though, so the fire department does come in and inspect. In fact, Dan Byrne has sent some inspections to the schools when he gets done inspecting. So it's not just that, the fire department also comes in and inspects.
And it's listed on every.
Maybe not all of them, but they do.
Fire code official responsible for routine fire code inspection. At Broad River, it's Captain Dan Byrne as a fire marshal. And then at Coosaw Elementary, the person responsible, Burton Battalion Chief John Warren. So it's listed for every facility that they do come out and inspect.
I do understand what you're saying, but my thing was that maybe I'm not saying, maybe I'm getting it a little maybe I'm not clear. Prior to this or along with this, I was like a track record to show me that we have been checking fire extinguishers and we have been working on that actively already, and that's something that we have routine from the district.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: you can go to our fire extinguishers, and you can see there's a card on there, and they have to inspect it every month. I used to work at Department of Ed, and I checked those on. But anyway, yes, they got to be inspected every month.
I'm familiar with that. And I'm telling y'all, I've seen some stuff that grabs my attention. So there are other board members, but for me, I'm not willing to move that. So it's got to go forward because of those things.
But if there are things that they need to report it right away.
11 did, so they're taking inspected every month. Okay. Okay, I saved the best for last, and I wanted to say some things about these two ladies. The safety and security program over the last 2 years has gone to new heights, mostly a lot because of Jerry Henderson and Ms. Swinton. They do a ton of work behind the scenes. Jerry does a ton of training almost daily. I get a message from her about 5:30 a.m. So I can set my clock by it. I know when she's up and about and she's headed to the school to do training. So Jerry and Kiki's here. Kiki's here to talk about reunification. And Jerry's here to talk about all the training she does district-wide, at every single school.
Which attachment?
Pardon me? Who is it?
Which attachment are you on?
7.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members and other individuals that are here this afternoon. My name is Jerry Henderson. I'm the crisis prevention coordinator for Beaufort County School District. My role and responsibilities include training all stakeholders in regards to their role and responsibilities and on how to execute in times of crisis, but day-to-day responsibilities in their building. And how do I do that? First and foremost, being aware of all policies and procedures. Any training conducted must align with our policies and procedures. In particular, as you mentioned earlier, the emergency management plan, which is reviewed annually, not only by district staff, but also by community first responders. We have a student service crisis plan that identifies that we must execute training amongst our stakeholders. And also the State Department of Education has a policy in place as far as public school education, what's required as far as safe schools. And what are the emphasis that we focus on when executing our safety program? There are 4 areas of a crisis: mitigation, prevention, preparedness, recovery, and response. And that's my job in going into the schools and educating the members of the school crisis team to in regards to those areas. Mitigation, and I actually posed a question to the crisis team members. What are you doing to reduce the possibility of an incident occurring in your school? It is important that the school level administrators have school level training, but also at the district level, we provide training, their local training and their state training that we share with our stakeholders. Preparedness, again, knowing your roles and responsibilities. It is a moot point to have a crisis team if they're not familiar with policies and procedures, especially in the response section of the emergency management plan, to ensure that not only the training, as Dave mentioned, we created a Google folder that housed all policies and procedures, and we reviewed that with all school crisis team, which I'll talk about more in a moment. But also to respond as far as a district crisis team, how do we support those school crisis team members during times of a crisis? And when that happens, we notify and activate our school crisis team. The goal is always to get that school to the pre-emergency condition, get it back to a norm. And again, I mentioned the policies in your documents that we shared. I shared with you the school crisis prevention professional development calendar that is created every year. It looks something like this, and included in here is over 57 training schedules for the school year, to include, I'm sure as you know, Colonel Guy, CPR. Our training doesn't go along with the school day. We train at night. We train on Thursday nights. 2 Saturdays ago, we had 2 CPR trainings on a Saturday. And that's not only for north of the Broad, the training is scheduled on weekends for south of the Broad. There are educators that cannot get out of the building during the day. So we must accommodate their schedule. There have been principals that have brought their entire teams on the weekends into the training. And the CPR training is open to any student within our district that's 10 years or older. Students save lives. And not only are they trained in CPR, they're trained in stop the bleeding, and they're trained in Narcan. And when you walk through the school, you will see a Jacob kit in every classroom. And our nurses, we have one of our district nurses, they train their staff, so they're familiar with that process. And some of the professional development that's included in here is, like I said, 47. We partnered with the I Love You Guys Foundation last year, and that became official in November of last year, where we established a memorandum of agreement between the school district and also the I Love You Guys Foundation, which is a nonprofit that came about out of a tragedy. I've worked real close with Dan Burns, as you mentioned ago, in regards to fire safety. Dan Burns and I meet every summer to establish a training schedule with their fire safety code training classes that he has provided to our stakeholders during Summer Institute and throughout the school year. So our individuals and our stakeholders know what fire safety is and what's expected of them. And the PD starts June and it goes to June of the upcoming year. So it's given to the administrators so they can plan around the PD schedule. We don't want to give them the PD schedule in August. We need to give it to them in August. So when they develop their PD schedule, they know what days that the district offers training. And I would tell you, to date, as of June this year, to include the mass casualty drill, we've had over 877 employees in the district to participate in training. As far as the school crisis team, it is mandated in our emergency management plan. Every school must have a crisis team. And all of our schools, a minimum of 5 folks on that team. We have some teams at our largest schools, such as May River and Bluffton High School, over 20 members on the team. And that team includes the principal, assistant principal, school counselor, school social worker, school resource officer, SPED coordinator, someone that's bilingual. Because if a crisis occurs, we need to make sure we can support those folks that cannot, if English is not their primary language. What we also do, we go out into the schools. It's important, just as the fire drills, the training that we do is boots on the ground. We go to every school in this district. First semester, second semester, but in between to do individual training and extended training where the principals request that. And when I say all schools, that include the Fusky Island. We go over to Hilton Head at Page Point, and we get on the ferry and we go work with that staff. Those 26 students are important. They're equally as important as those on this north of the Broad or south of the Broad. So we work real close with their team and their local first responders. And that training also include our 3 programs that include Right Choice, ACE, and Adult Ed. In the case of Dr. Morales, she said, Jerry, okay, I'm scheduling my training on a Saturday. So this Saturday, we'll be working with her team because their schedule is uniquely different than a traditional comprehensive school. Again, to date, we have trained 98 stakeholders in our district on CPR and Stop the Bleeding. Last year, at the conclusion of the school year, we had trained 192 folks. That does not count the school level training, so it's much more than that. Those are the training opportunities that we provided in the district. There are 15 training sessions that we scheduled this year. Again, we are not only trained again during the school day because sometimes they cannot get out of the classroom. And one thing that was shared last year, the HR department does a survey every year, upbeat survey. Last year, the survey, one of the questions was asked throughout the stakeholders, our educators and classified staff, do you feel safe? Their response was 87%. Today, when we had our department meeting, Alice Walton and Dr. Matt Hunt shared with us that percentage today said they understand what safety is. Procedures and protocol is 92% as of today. So again, that's from a collaborative effort amongst the folks around this table, educating and empowering our stakeholders, because no matter what happens and we share with them, they are the first responders. It's going to take some time before we get there. They are truly the first responders. When an incident occurs, research shows 99% of the time students are with teachers. So it's imperative we train the teachers so they know how to respond during times of a crisis or a serious incident. And again, there's so much more that we do as a crisis team, but those are some of the things that I wanted to highlight this evening with you. Any questions?
Very good. Mr. Day, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Very informative. The 143-page attachment there was pretty detailed. Thank you.
Evidence.
Okay, Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
I was very impressed to know that the feeling of safety has risen from 87% to 92%, because that tells that's a very positive story about the progress made. So thank you for that.
Mr. Campbell? Mr. Smith?
In terms of Mrs. Henderson and her staff, I've witnessed some of it. The only question I believe I did ask, this is with all the training, actually, people in the community I've heard good feedback from it, and some people have been glad that they can come in and get that training. And I've also expressed to some people, we had something in there. I think it was something. I don't remember. I think it was the committal partners. And I think that middle partners, because when you told us that y'all were having it, and he told us someone versus the north or the south, how much people were not actually first aid trained. I was shocked about that. And somebody from in there was talking to, he had asked me about it, and I told him to call this office to call you actually when you have those trainings. So for that, I do thank you for that. That was very important and shocking. It was almost scary information to learn. And then I think in return, the only question I have asked, in terms of that, how have we thought about engaging our people like our peer pros and our different coaches and stuff. How do the and bus drivers? I think I've asked too, did have our bus drivers been trained, because if something happened on one of those buses or at the games, we would want our coaches to be able to jump in, because I mean it showed America on TV during this football season where I think there was an actual football player who parts out and something like that. So I mean that's proven that's needed. How we doing with that?
Well, I would like to share that in regards to Captain Burns. I would tell you, he is probably one of the most engaging individuals we have partnered with in the community. He does all the CPR, first aid, and stop the bleed training. He has a team of first responders that work with him. That training is available to everyone. And it's not only to our stakeholders in the district. Actually, they are willing to go into churches and provide, and I've partnered with churches where we offer CPR. I've gone along with Dave and Kiki, we've gone on Reverend Moore radio station and shared with the community about these resources. So it's not a secret. We want the word out. We are available, and our stakeholders and our partners are available to train everyone in the school district. It's not only important to train the classified and certified, everyone needs the training, because something may happen on the bus. We don't know. And like I said, that's why we open the training to students 10 years and older, because a student may save a life. And one thing I want to chime in regards to student services, the services they provide in regards to the prepare training on how to respond to crisis. So we've had training where we have the model train the trainer. So we don't want to limit the training just to us to be the facilitator. We've invited and include other community members, not only locally, statewide, that have come in to do training. On January 4th, which is a district PD day, we're going to have the I Love You Guys training at Battery Creek. We're going to have how to respond to a trauma incident. Also that day is going to be at Right Choices by Dr. Sharon Gibbons. So our training, we're bringing in folks in nationally to conduct training with our folks again. And our training is not only limited to, again, just the certified, classified, and parapros, but we invite the first responders. Why not invite the first responders? If an incident occurs, who's going to be there with us? The first responders. The I Love You Guys model that we had the training on August 9th during Summer Institute. The room was filled with first responders, firefighters, law enforcement. That will also be the case for January 4th. So our training, if someone said Jerry or asks our team member, we want additional training, we're available to do just that and make it happen.
Right, because I mean, no, I do. I mean, and I hear what you're saying, but my question, I know that you open up to the public, but I was just wondering in terms of, you know, we don't have all money, but in terms of other people who have access and I in the school in terms of bus drivers particularly, or like the teacher assistant, do we have a time or could that be allotted to get those people certified?
If that is requested of us, we will make it happen.
Okay.
That will make it happen.
That's all I need. Thank you.
Okay, the last topic is going to be reunification, and just say one thing real quick. Up until about 2 years ago, the district pretty much did not have a reunification plan at all. Ms. Swinton came in and took over the reunification and done a great job. And you've seen the trailers out there, you've heard her talk before, so Swinton,
thank you all for having me tonight. I am Kiki Swinton, Director of Employee Services, and I also lead our district reunification efforts. I think I'm the only person in this room who leads efforts that we hope to never use. Everybody has talked about things that we utilize that are put in use every day in our schools. But what I do in leading our district's reunification efforts is something that we hope to never use, but it is a collaborative effort with every department within our district. Let me pass this down. Robin, I apologize. I will email this to you. I didn't send you our organizational chart that identifies the different departments and their roles with regards to reunification. So a reunification is essentially our district's response to a crisis situation. Ms. Henderson talked about the 4 different responses to a crisis. I am leading the response portion of that, which is the district's reunification team being assembled and making sure that we are returning students to their parents with a high level of accountability in order to make sure that everyone is returned to their parent who is able to be returned to their parent in a systematic process that includes everyone within our district. Mr. Smith asked about transportation. We involve transportation, food services, operations, human resources. Every department within the district is responsible for this. So this is an effort that our district team actually comes in and takes over the responsibility of the school. In the event of a crisis, we want the school to focus on their students. So our team would come in when those students are removed from the building. I'm sure you all remember what happened on October 5th of last year when we were a victim to that swatting incident. The students were removed from Beaufort High School and taken to the football field. Is it ideal to do that at a football field? No, it is not, but it is something that we made work. That June prior to that, our district team and law enforcement members went and got trained in Colorado with the standard reunification method from the I Love You Guys organization that Jerry talked about. And we came back, and as you do with professional development, you have all of these grand plans, and then you come back and you meet the work that is there for you every day. At the time that swatting incident happened, we were just having initial conversations about how do we make this happen in our district? How do we make sure that we've got a comprehensive response to a crisis situation for reunification? We have done a lot of work since then and have trained over 140 members of our district team to be able to respond to a crisis situation. And just to make sure that we've got a solid process, no matter where we are, we utilize our district trailers to be able to set up a reunification anyway. Jerry has done a lot of work with establishing reunification sites. We were a district that had 2 sites. We now have over 15 sites that we're able to hold a reunification that we've got an MOU in place with. For us, it's about making sure that in the event of a crisis, at a moment's notice, we're ready to respond. And so as we continue to collaborate and build our efforts around that, we will grow and just continue to build on what we need to be able to have in place that we hope to never use. So I am welcoming any questions that you all may have.
Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Dallas?
No, sir. Just again, I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
Mr. Campbell?
No, I just, are y'all still, looking for locations to possibly do MOAs in terms of those,
We consider that every day, yes, sir. So if we identify that there is an area of our community that we're not serving with the reunification site, we will do the necessary take the necessary steps to be able to put that in place. We try to focus on making sure that we have sites that can accommodate the schools within that community. We do not publicly share where those locations are, but as we establish those sites, our team, along with local law enforcement and first responders, will go walk that site, and we will establish a plan that allows us at a moment's notice to be able to reach out to that organization under our MOU and go into that school and conduct a reunification. So are we looking for more sites? I would probably say yes, because we're a community that continues to grow. But as we identify that need, we are willing to seek out more sites.
right, and that was my question. Thank you for letting us know, because I don't mind helping, and someone did ask me about that, so I will let them know that y'all are open to still looking at their site to see if their site could be utilized as well.
And just so you know, when you're having those conversations, the sites that we're looking for ideally can hold, have different locations, so we can house children in one separate location from parents. We want to avoid the line of sight as much as possible. We want our team to be able to have the space to go in and conduct the necessary pieces of the reunification process. We want our student services team to be able to provide counseling in a separate area. We want to have a location for our students with disabilities to be housed so that we can provide the necessary support for them. All of the different pieces that come in with the verification, ensuring that we have our team with the space that they need to accommodate the reunification process is what we need. So as you're having those conversations, and we encourage all of our board members and community members, if you are familiar with a space that we may not know about, definitely let us know. And between the 3 of us, we'll collaborate and make sure that we review and see if that's a possibility.
Okay.
And as you can tell, Dr. Rodriguez and senior staff takes safety and security very seriously. As you can see, every department is pretty much represented here. Everybody has a hand in safety and security, and everybody participates.
Okay, that's my presentation. Thank you. Now we need to have the committee make a motion to recommend that this safety and security report, which is OE 15, be accepted by the full board. Do I hear a motion to do that?
So moved.
And second.
In terms, that's not including that one that's going to stay, is it?
Yes, it includes everything.
I'm not gonna say that.
Okay, I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded to recommend to the full board that they accept the annual monitoring report, OE 15, safety and security. Any discussion? Okay, do you have anything you want to add, Mr. Nay?
No, sir.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Okay, the motion will be forwarded to the full board for acceptance, recommending acceptance with a 3-2 vote. And that'll be on the next agenda for Tuesday's meeting. Okay, thank you very much, and appreciate you have something.
Yes, sir. I just respectfully request if we also need a motion, the fire and safety program for Beaufort County needs to be presented to the full board to be approved because the State Department requires it.
That's not in this.
No, it says that it's in there, but it has to be approved separately.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's bureaucratic nonsense, but all right.
I know, it is. It is.
You need to go ahead and make the motion to approve the fire and safety.
Thanks.
Yes. Mr. Nate, can we get a motion to approve the fire and safety report?
So moved.
Could you second that?
Is that the report?
That's the fire and safety report.
I know what is that the ones that we were initially talking about before we were on the second one.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Okay, let's move on. Town of Bluffton. Richard Street project and future town of Bluffton projects. Sounds like you.
Well, I am not gonna be the one presenting, but I'm proud to introduce to you Dan Rybach with the town of Bluffton, and we've been working closely together on what he's about to present to you today. So he is bringing something forward that the town of Bluffton brought to school district staff, and we've been getting it together on it. And now we'd like to present to the board and to the operations committee where we are and what's going on. That I'll give you the floor.
Thank you. All right, Operations Committee, thank you for having me this evening and for your time. Providing an update for you from the Pritchard Street project and why we are presenting to the school district because it does affect their property. So when this project was initiated, after initial design, I met with Robert with regards to the project scope of work and so forth. And at that time, Robert recommended that I come and present to the board. And I did present to the board back in May of 2022. And at that time, we had a preliminary design and we were looking to do drainage improvements along Pritchard Street in the town of Bluffton by MC Raleigh Elementary School, the pool house, and also the early childhood learning center. So the entire project scope of work will be along the entire length of Pritchard Street from Bridge Street to the south, and as you move to the north to Bruin Road. With regards to that, the project scope has increased somewhat, and that originally it was just a drainage improvement project that has now grown into a streetscape drainage and water quality improvement project. The drainage and water quality components were what we discussed last time. Now we have included sidewalk, street lighting, traffic calming, and ADA compliance into the project as well. So with regards to the screen here information, can we adjust that to sheet 1? Okay, yeah. So this is what was being depicted here is to the left of the screen is Bridge Street, which is the beginning part of the project. Town Hall building is located right there, and pretty much the sidewalk starts right where you see the hash lines and then moves to the north. Right at that intersection area is where the Easements would be starting to be needed from the district property. Can we move that to the right, please? So in this area here, we have sidewalk that's being proposed, and that sidewalk is coming onto school board property, so a sidewalk easement would be needed there. There's been several iterations of this design, and we're at a point right now where we believe this is the best and most economical approach, and that most of the facilities are located as close as possible to the street right away. And so in this area right here, the sidewalk and some street lighting will require easements from the school district. Going to the next sheet.
If I can, real quick, just so you recognize where that is, if you're familiar behind MC Riley in that parking lot that's for the pool and also services the school, right there at the driveways, there's always been a massive flooding problem. If you ever went back there during a rain, you're driving your car through water. And so part of what this program is to try to alleviate that. And that's what they've been working on, along with water quality and beautification and things of that nature. So if you'll see right there with that block building, that's the pool. And that's our parking lot. This is the greatest impact to us is the parking lot.
Yes, yes. So right now, the existing condition of that parking lot is there is no striping in that parking lot. It's haphazard parking. It's used by the school as well as the pool. And so right now, the proposal is that we would enter into agreement with the school district. The town would design and build the parking lot improvements, and the cost of those improvements for the parking lot only would hopefully be cost shared by the school district and reimbursed to the town. So that is just for the paving of the parking lot area and the striping. Within that parking lot, then we're also proposing then a bioretention area for water quality improvement. That's the depression area there in the middle of the parking lot. And then also there where you see the gravel and the stone areas located, that's a sort of like a secondary parking area that's utilized by the pool. That's going to be another area where drainage and water quality takes place. You can see a proposed sidewalk that goes just north of that area. And again, that sidewalk would also have street lighting associated with it. Street lighting spacing is going to be anywhere from about 125 to 150 feet apart. So that's pretty much the frequency in which street lights, and that's going to be the Shepherd's Crook type street lights that the town has been using in the historic district. From there, then the sidewalk moves back into the right of way, and on the right side of the screen where you see that hashed area, that's actually the entrance to the Early Learning Center. So the sidewalk comes into there. We have a crosswalk, and then we go to the next sheet. Scroll to the left, please. Thank you. Okay, so there's the entrance to the Early Learning Center. You can see the sidewalk then comes back and turns back into the right of way. So that sidewalk will be located within the street right away. However, because of the change in grade in that location, we feel like that we will have to encroach upon somewhat into the school district property for streetlights to be installed on the back side of the sidewalk in that area. So as you scroll to the right then, that sidewalk then comes up and ties into an existing sidewalk that's associated with Tabby Road's development. And from there, that sidewalk will continue all the way to the north to Bruin Road, farther up by what used to be the old post office and the Redfish restaurant, and now it's Fort Atkins building. There's another area sidewalk that will be placed in that area that will make connectivity all the way from from Bridge Street to Bruin Road on the east side of the Pritchard Street. So basically that's the update that I wanted to give you just in terms of what the features of the project are looking like at this time. And to give you a sense of what would be needed from the town and partnership with the school district in terms of easements for the proposed improvements, and then also eventually talking about cost share for possibly some of the parking lot reconstruction costs.
Where would that coming from the district?
8%.
8%. Is it on the 50%? I don't remember seeing.
I have to go, but to be honest, I don't know if you put it on this year, it may have to be on next year's. I have to go back. I'll find out and let you know. I should have had that ahead of time. I apologize.
Okay, and total estimated cost?
My initial estimate, and I did not get an estimate from the engineer, but I did look at previous construction costs from the town. My estimate is $90,000 to $110,000. Now, the original, I was going to also mention that we were originally thinking about milling and paving that existing parking lot, but the existing condition of that parking lot, based on potholes and also some borings that we had done, we have 1 inch of asphalt there, so we can't really mill and pave that. So that's going to be basically demolition of the existing asphalt surface, subgrade, proof rolling, and possibly it's the subgrade base based on what we find with the proof rolling process, and then a 2-inch overlay on top of it.
Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
I'm sorry, I did not. Well, I mean, the only thing I'm concerned about is like when I was doing the pre-read for this, there was nothing in the diligent whatever in the agenda that said what we're doing with this. It's just an attachment that said here some pictures. So I was just trying to figure out what was the point of all the pictures. So if there was something that we could put in on the website that says this is the point of us posting this. This is what we're trying to need out of this. What if there was something on there? I missed it, but obviously I'm up to speed now. But there was nothing in the diligent community about what all of this was for or what we're trying to accomplish with it. It was just pictures.
We're not requesting anything at this time, just so we didn't have the formal memo that we would as far as easements and things of that nature. But yes, good point. We'll make sure that
An architectural picture
of the parking lot.
of what your end state looks like and what it does, you know, and for our kids,
Yes.
for you know, how the traffic flow, the parking lots, all that.
Okay.
But, you know, kind of like what we have with at high school, kind of a drawing
Okay.
that lays it all out, because these
Yeah.
plans are fine.
Yeah.
And I can.
You need a
understand-
clear overview of
Yes.
the entire project. I got it.
Yes.
Yes.
And the project at this particular point is considered at 70%
Yeah.
design phase. And so when meeting with the stakeholders, I'm developing and getting comments so that I knew exactly where to go for 90% design development.
Yeah.
So your comments and feedback is very helpful.
So part of it was back, I guess it's been a year and a half ago almost, that they asked for our support for a grant that they went out to seek funding. This is just to update you on how this project is progressing, and we're getting closer to the point where we will need a commitment from you.
Yeah.
Do you have schedule?
Right now, we're hoping to go to construction in June 2024. That's what we're shooting for. So, I'm wrapping up my 70% review period right now in terms of comments and feedback. I will get comments back to the consultant, and then I'll get the next submission, which will be 90%, and that 90% submission will be final for permits, bidding. Well, actually, it'll be the submission that goes for final permits and approval from all agencies. And then that'll be pretty much what's going to be happening, and we'll be in a situation to be better defined in terms of where everything's going, what's needed, what easements, and then what areas.
Okay. Mr. Nate, does that scratch your itch?
Yes, it does. I just don't know who's responsible for including a summary of why the topic is in the agenda. Because right now the topic on the agenda is just architectural drawings. There's no like, hey, here's your 70%. Here's just an update to keep you abreast of what's going on in the situation. No decisions needed, and nothing like that was in the agenda. So that's the only thing I was talking about.
Okay, I got it.
That was
I got it.
I'll take that as my responsibility. We'll make sure that's here next time and available for you.
Awesome, thank you.
Provide what's needed.
Okay, Mr. Dallas, do you have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you. Well done.
Okay, Mr. Campbell? No, neither.
Thank you very much. All right, and then secondly, the other projects that we're working on is associated with the May River Watershed Action Plan. And those projects.
It is on the agenda.
It is on.
Under
Okay,
other
I'm sorry,
process.
okay.
And so that's, I'm just giving you some information. Been working with Robert and Carol on them as well. We're evaluating other school sites for potential BMPs and water quality improvement for the May River. So we got a process in place that we're working through in terms of cost efficiently and cost effectively, trying to figure out what BMPs could go where on what school sites and what the benefit would be. And so as we get farther down the road and get more detailed information regarding that, we'll be presenting that information as well.
Do you have any questions?
Just to go back to the last project, what is the how would this one get involved in that? I mean,
The project improvements are proposed right now to approach upon school property. So, easements and agreements for that needed, for the work to take place. And so that's pretty much why the school district is, being informed of where the project is and what's happening.
Right, but it's just.
What I was gonna say is that parking lot in the back, which is used by our teachers and staff, is, if you've ever been through it after rain, it's in terrible shape and it is a massive puddle. And so what comes out of this is a way to deal with that stormwater, so we're no longer holding water, and we give our teachers and staff a suitable place.
And I hear that, but however. Now it would be rushed on the 8% on the 8% project, and we have more important 8% projects. So now we have a limited decision, and then also on the back end of the growth of Bluffton, you know, it's just I'm just to be candid honest. It's amazing that they come forward on this right here versus I think that we should have been talking amongst each other on the growth and different things that are going on within Bluffton. In other words, Mrs. Quickfield a couple months ago bought us a housing duplex that was coming to Bluffton. I think that you know that those things when we're bringing in a ton of loans forward, that the board and the board and the staff know, and they know that I do apologize for me not being informed, but and saying what I'm saying is that this is one project that y'all are bringing, but then I believe there were other projects that we have actual information on, or we've talked about, and I just don't want to, because y'all bought this one, to just go ahead and jump on this, because there need to be some relationship, there need to be some more conversations upon this go ahead and putting this on 8% project and make it happen. I just don't think that it works that way in my mind, because I think, as you know, as a municipality, yes.
To me, I see this as a great partnership opportunity. So the town approached us because they were applying for a grant to,
The microphone's at the table.
sorry, I know. I saw this as a great opportunity to partnership with them. They approached us. It solves one of our problems, which is the flooding to the parking lot, and a parking lot that certainly is on that big list of needs that we need to do something about. They were applying for a grant so they could get some money to help us solve.
Right.
And it's a reimbursable for them. So we've got the opportunity now to plan. So excuse me. So we just are trying to bring this to you all so that you're aware of the project. And as it moves forward, you know, we can continue to update you and get those costs kind of finalized too.
Right, and I do understand exactly what you're saying is, but my example and my plight for this is that I remember there were some things in terms of some other projects that we've approached the time about, and you know, I didn't see the willingness to work with us on those things. So now I'm saying, because it's convenient and that we have a common interest on this one, we want to work with you. that's more of a convenient relationship. I don't want a convenient relationship with them when it's convenient for me. I'm looking for more of a, we want to work with you year round at any point in time, or if you have something that, that may be questionable, then or in other words, or we getting out some, if we're granting this amount of homes and then on this side of town, and y'all have this amount of school, or in the school that could hold to this amount of students, then we want to let y'all know that, hey, in this area here, there's gonna be some growth. And there's partnership, but back and forth, but not when it's convenient. That is my whole. That's the itch, as he said. That's my itch. So to me, this comes across as this one's convenient. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you
for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the construction update.
May I make a request that we move that for later in the agenda, because we do have members from Beaufort County waiting online, and at one point, Erie was gonna do this, and I knew they didn't want to keep their time, but if we could allow us to go to, I think next is move this towards the end, and I think Stewart Point is Stewart Point next.
No, athletic field discussion is next.
We can go to that one. That one should be short. Okay, if we want to keep that and just move construction update to the last one, if that's okay. Go ahead. Brandy, athletic field discussion. This, we're bringing this forward that Mr. Smith, you requested information about care for our athletic field. So with that, and Ryan, if you want to come forward and join us at the table here. Ryan is with Brightview, who is responsible for the care of our athletic fields, including artificial turf.
So first, this should be short and sweet for time's sake. I'll let Ryan introduce himself, what his role is with Brightview. If you
My
would.
name is Brian Buffet. I'm the branch manager for Brightview Landscape Services. We maintain all the athletic fields at your schools. Been with the company 16 years and been a part of taking care of your grounds for the last 16 years as well.
Okay, so what you have in front of you is just a real quick brief on some key points for cost, a snapshot of what we're looking at for artificial turf cost, as far as our average football field size at 2.11 acres, and our monthly cost approximately with grass fields prior to those turf installations at $7,600 per month. And then what we look at our average cost for the artificial turf maintenance at $6,300 per month, taking into account that that's based on 6 artificial turf fields. I also want to note, and this is just something Ryan and I have spoken about, that those numbers don't necessarily take account inflation. Okay, so that's just kind of a number out there. The remaining part of this document is scope of work. So this verbiage was taken directly out of our current contract with Brightview for athletic fields specific to artificial. So I didn't, we didn't go into all the other field maintenance, but it sounded like the interest or discussion was more for our athletic turf fields. So you'll see there, it's a pretty extensive scope of work that Brightview has been awarded to do for us to maintain those artificial turf fields. And with that, I'm just going to open it up for questions or comments to start the discussion.
Mr. Nate, do you have any questions?
Yeah, can you just give a wave top explanation of what maintenance is involved in an artificial turf that costs $1,000 a month? You said the $6,300 was for all six fields, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of give a wave top of what monthly maintenance is required on an artificial turf.
Well, it's right there in the scope, sir. So there's inspections weekly. We still continue to blow off the fields, but since it is an artificial turf field, we can't use our large Buffalo turbine blowers because we blow out all the infill. So the fields are hand blown. So the fields that are around trees are going to have more leaf litter at the certain times of the season. We do any repairs, any tears. We also check for the depth of the infill. because sometimes heavy play will make a lower area than a higher area, so we will sometimes add in more infill to level it off. We do painting for lacrosse, so we still have to paint and remove the lines. Soccer and football are permanently sewn in, but we do have lacrosse that we have to paint for 3 to 4 times a season. It lasts more than a week than grass paint, but then also it takes a solid almost 2 days to remove that paint, so we don't have any ghosting on the investment of the artificial field. The biggest expense we do is we've partnered with the installer for the school district. A lot of these scopes came from them, from the installer and the manufacturer, and we work with them once a year to do a full decompaction and a full inspection of it to protect the warranty. And we also groom it monthly as well. And we keep records of that because our big goal here is to make sure we keep the warranty intact for as long as we possibly can.
Thank you. And my question is also, is this contract 12 months or 9 months?
12.
Well, this is the contract is actually a 3-year with 2 1-year extensions.
That is correct.
And we're in year.
So the current contract expires, we're year 4, so the current contract expires in August of 2024. With it, no optional extensions at that. So
I guess what I'm getting at is it a year-round contract? So I mean, are we still paying them even though the fields are not in use over the summer?
Yes, a lot of the fields are in use over the summer with camps, and football season starts in July for the most part.
Sports is almost year round.
Yeah,
With the amount of different practice sessions they have.
A lot of our fields have a lot of heavy use in the summer in actuality, so.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for clarifying. Appreciate you.
Mr. Dallas, you have any questions?
No, Mr. Nay hit on the questions that I had, so I'm good.
Okay, Mr. Campbell? Mr. Smith?
Yes, my colleague, he asked you basically a point about what exactly is the process in terms of what it costs us per field. I'm going to say I don't think that you adequately told us that when we asked you. Can you tell me the process of it besides the glory?
So we'll come to the field on that week of service. We'll blow off any debris. We'll pick up any sticks. We will treat any weeds that are coming up through the seams, which does still happen. If there's a lacrosse, if it's on the schedule, we'll be painting for lacrosse. We will be checking the infill for various depths. That's pretty much it. Checking for any metal items on the field. But you know, the inspection and then blowing off the field and painting as necessary.
With that, the reason why I asked for this is because what I was learning and studying about these fields is that these fields it takes maintenance, and that's why actually he did ask my question that I didn't want to understand what that process is and how that works because of the fact that they said that a lot of that kids were hurting and breaking their ankles and things because some of the field was it may not be in line when kids are running different things of that nature. And so my question is for you to ask him the process of that is so I can hear if they're checking for those measurements and when what that looked like and understanding the process of that and knowing that we are doing that we are not putting our kids in harm's way by not maintaining our fields. So that was the point of me asking that.
That's one of our concerns as well, the safety of everybody. That's why we partnered with your installer and the manufacturer, make sure we follow their guidelines and bring them in once a year to back up and check our work.
Right. Well, in your second explanation, I believe you did hit that. You did hit that. You did hit that question, and I thank you for that. So there's a clear understanding that you are doing that, so that we are fulfilling that. Yeah. Thank you. So,
My 2 grandsons played soccer and lacrosse at Beaufort High, and they were playing before the field was put in, and they were playing after the field was put in. and the number of injuries are markedly reduced. That they would tell me that they no turf injury. There's contact injuries, but there's no turf injuries that they knew of in that time. And when there was the real turf field there at the football field, that was not the case because there were uneven places, from the divots and everything that happened during football season. And then soccer and lacrosse got in, the grounds hadn't had a chance to recover. And so they just got worse and worse and worse. And by the end of lacrosse season, they were in bad shape. And so, but now with the turf, the end of lacrosse season, it's really no different than at the beginning or for the football season. So I would give you just from personal experience, it's been very, very, very helpful. It's a good thing. I am surprised at the cost of that seems. I was told when we put the turf fields in, that maintenance costs would be significantly less because of the turf issues, trying to maintain it. This is not significantly less. So I'll be anxious to see in our new bidding.
It'll be part of the bid. It was not part of the bid process this time. It will be obviously part of the bid process next.
That's we will have some competition to see, and then we can talk about them and tell us what you're going to do at a better cost for us, but yet keeping up the same standards. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
And if I can just add what you say, one of the huge benefits has been just the ability to have lots of play on it and not worry about the condition. Where in the past we had to try to keep people off of them because we were concerned about tearing them up, as you alluded to. It's been a great benefit. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Now you want to talk about the Stewart Point?
Yes, if we could go to Stewart Point pathway. And I believe we have online with Miss Jennifer Bragg from Bragg Consulting and Brittany Fields with Beaufort County, who will be I invited them to just talk about this project. They reached out to us with a request for easement acquisition for the installation of a pathway along Stewart Point Road. So with that, I don't know if Brittany or Jennifer are going to start it. Jennifer is unmuted, so I believe she's going to kick us off.
I am. Thank you for having us. And yes, this project is one of the county's sidewalks and multi-use pathways, safe routes to school as part of the 2018 sales tax program. It will be an 8-foot concrete sidewalk from Trask Parkway to the end of the road at Delaney Circle. Seacrest Lane is approximately 2 miles long. So what we are looking at is obtaining the easement to construct the sidewalk. The easement would ultimately become SCDOT right-of-way after the project is constructed, because the project does comply with all of SCDOT's requirements. So at the end of the day, once the project is constructed, it would revert to SCDOT for ownership in the long term. So with this, if you go to, I guess they may have carved out the actual just couple of plan sheets for you. If you go, I guess the next sheet that you were on highlighted is the area of acquisition that is needed from the school district. And then if you go to the next sheet, and there is a temporary easement, and I'll explain that in a minute. So tract 1 is, as shown right here, is the entire school property. And as you see, we just need a linear strip adjacent to the present right-of-way along Stewart Point Road for the construction. The temporary easement is minor modification to your existing asphalt tract inside the school boundary. And once the modifications are made, it would revert back to the school long term. If you go to the next plan sheet, I believe is what they sent you. All right, so here we go. So are the design plans. The 8-foot sidewalk is shown there with the hatched concrete pattern. What is highlighted in yellow and green is areas of where the ditch is located. And then of course, with this, we would also move your existing fence back to the new right-of-way line. The additional green there for the temporary construction easement is truly just for us to be able to put up silt fence and some other items while we're constructing. The green area after construction would revert back to you. The yellow would become part of the permanent right-of-way. So I believe if you go to the next plan sheet, so this one, so the green there inside of the bigger green square right there is the area where we would need to just reconstruct part of your existing asphalt track. Like I said, once it's constructed and the project is finished, that would revert back to the school, and it would still be inside of the fence because we would relocate the fence to the new right-of-way line. And then there might be a couple of other sheets. So this is just showing the improvement the whole way down with the sidewalk, the area of new right-of-way, improving the existing drainage within the area. And I think there's one more sheet. And then from there, that's the end of your property. I actually do have a colored exhibit on my screen. If I can share, maybe. Share my screen.
Yeah, you can go ahead and share.
Will Branch Middle School.
Yeah. So do you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
So if you see, these are public meeting exhibits. So we also held 3 different public meetings. The first 2 public meetings were actually held in the cafeteria of the Well Branch Elementary School. We did those a couple of years ago, and then we held our proposed design public meeting in the gymnasium of Well Branch Middle School. And I believe with that, Robert, you were the one who graciously allowed us access to the gym to host that meeting. But these are the public meeting displays, and you can see here in blue, that's the location of the sidewalk along the school's frontage adjacent to the road. We've got the proposed right-of-way shown. And then this one little area of blue is where we would need to just reconstruct the existing asphalt track. And again, we would reset the school fence on the new right-of-way line as part of the project.
Mr. Campbell is very aware. What do you think?
I think this is something that was needed. In fact, Mr. Dawson, when he posed this for his finance, and there are several other areas they don't have sign.
Yeah,
but this was one of them. Well, it's fine.
Okay. Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Mr. Dallas?
No, I appreciate the visual because it shows that it really doesn't affect us too much. It's just providing right-of-way extension and easement, so no issues for me.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir. So, to understand this, basically, and who are you representing?
Beaufort County.
So the county is just asking the school board to understand that for an easement to do the sidewalk. Is that the correction of this?
That's correct. So what's in front of you is where a right-of-way agent has reached out to the school to request the right-of-way easement. So yes, we need new right-of-way for the project. So this would be the school providing the easement for the sidewalk. And then it would be constructed by the county. And at the end of the project, the right-of-way and the sidewalk would be turned over to DOT since Stewart Point Road is a DOT roadway.
Who's gonna pay for the cost of this?
This is funded through the 2018 sales tax program for
County.
Beaufort County.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, one quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jennifer, and when it gets close to the existing pathway, how far off the fence will we be? For that existing pathway on the corner near Trask Parkway? Is there a decent separation or what are we talking about? I can't tell from this drawing.
Give me 1 second. Okay, do you still see my screen or is it just showing?
Looks like some ditch sections.
Okay, so the existing path, we're around station 16 and 16 plus 50. So we're going to be pulling it over in here. So there'll still be a couple feet of separation between the existing path and your fence inside the school, at least 2 feet of separation, which is standard by guidance. Now, if you want something a little bit further, we can make those modifications, but at least 2 feet.
It will be up against the fence. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Had no further questions. Let's move on. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. If nothing else, then I'm going to go ahead and jump off.
Can I ask one quick on the right-of-way acquisition? What are they gonna contact us? Are you asking for acceptance of the right-of-way or? I mean, it kind of, what is the next step?
Okay, so how we got to this meeting is a right-of-way agent has reached out to the school board for the easement. We are trying to see if we can get it gratis because obviously it is a benefit for the school to get kids along this corridor to the school on a safe path. But because we also have some minor federal funds involved with this project, I need to allow them to address any further questions. But obviously, as part of the process, if the school district does not want to provide the right-of-way gratis, then it would go through the appraisal process. We would get an appraisal, determine the just compensation, and then make an offer based on that. And it would go through that process.
Basically, your question to the school board is, will the school board provide the property gratis, or do we want to go through the process of evaluating the value and see what is offered? Is that kind of where we are?
Yes. So the agents reached out and now we're working through that process. So I guess after this meeting, it needs to revert back to the right-of-way agents to stay within the process. They'll need to know an answer of, yes, the school is willing to provide the right-of-way gratis or not. And then if not, then we'll get the appraisal.
I mean, but we can answer that question now, correct? Or, I mean, we can go ahead and pose that question to the committee and then the full board.
Yes, if that's your process, then yes.
Because, yeah, it would have to be approved by the full board. So typically the way this committee has to make a recommendation to the board.
Okay.
And then the board would make an approval. So it sounds like the question is,
So the question is, would the school be willing to provide the right-of-way gratis? Or if not, then we need to start the appraisal process.
Okay. Mr. Nate and Mr. Smith, does anybody have objection to granting the right-of-way gratis? I mean, in other words, not having them pay us, have the county pay us to have that right-of-way, or just say, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I move that we take a positive recommendation to the board to approve the right-of-way gratis for full board's approval.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to provide a right of way gratis. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So
Thank-
we'll make recommendation to the full board.
It'll be on the 21st, right?
First is on the agenda. Okay, yep. We'll do that.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. If you've got any future questions, please reach out to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it'd be good if she could be available on the first, or be give another board member have some information.
Yeah.
You hear that, Jennifer? Before you,
What was that?
it may be good to have somebody from the county to answer board questions on the 21st, if that's possible. That's Tuesday, meeting starts at 6 o'clock.
Okay, I can certainly be there.
It's gonna be, we can do it on Zoom.
Either one, I can Zoom or in person, whichever is preferred.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I'll make sure we send you an invite, and Brittany as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
Okay.
evening.
Where do you want to go now? Whatever's next, construction, you wanna go back to construction, or you wanna go to maintenance and custodian?
Maintenance custodial, since we have visitors. Instructions on me, so. And we have a couple people on the line, I believe Brandon Clark. Oh, I can do that.
Right. Good evening, yes, sir, operations committee and fellow board members. Tonight, I'm going to present the monthly report, maintenance and custodial update for the time period of October 1st through the 31st of the month. Before I start the report, though, I'd like to give the opportunity for the individuals that are here from ABM maintenance and HES custodial a chance to introduce themselves. So if you want to start, Mr. Miller.
Acknowledge Director of Maintenance again. Scott Zimmerman, VP of Operations, HES. And Richard Mandel, HES.
And then I think we also have, by looking on Mr. Clark, would you like to introduce yourself as well, sir?
Yes, good evening. I hope all of you can hear me okay. Brandon Clark. I am an account director with ABM in support of Ed there.
There was one other individual, but I do not see his name on the prompt. So I think we'll just go ahead and move forward. I am, for the sake of time, going to go through the maintenance and custodial update report rather quickly because the back part of this report is specific. A bigger talking point, which are the performance survey results that just recently went out within the last month to principals. So just quickly, I'm gonna go through this and I'll stop at each section and ask for questions. The custodial spot inspection report. So we did have 7 spot inspection scores that had fell below that 80% minimum required average in September. Those re-inspections were conducted during the month of October, and those did pass. The new initial spot inspections that were completed in October, 11 of those did fall below that 80%. So those repeat inspections are going to be done in November. As far as the summary for our spot inspections, there were 49 spot inspections completed by district office staff during the month of October. 7 schools were visited and our average score was 78%. We did see an increase with the HES custodial managers completing spot inspections, and they were able to complete 363 inspections. So that was quite significant. During the month of October, 281 of those inspections were completed at North of the Broad sites with an average score of 84, and 82 were completed as south of the broad sites with an average score of 85. Moving on to staffing percentages, that chart, as you go past the spot inspections, those percentages are being reported through November the 6th. And I just want to make note that those, normally we just give a monthly where we are now, but we did go ahead and include what we had previously reported for August and September as well. So we're going to move on past the staffing numbers and go to recognizing success. Just some key things that HES was able to accomplish. The staffing levels are the highest that we've seen since the inception of the contract. So right now, currently, we have 3 vacancies across the district. So that's pretty substantial. HES was also successful in replacing an underperforming account manager with no lapse in coverage once that concern was identified. That person that is taking that position is it's actually an internal promotion. She's actually a lead supervisor at another school. So that speaks to HES's ability to provide those internal promotion opportunities for their staff. Another note of success was HES puts out a monthly report card to administrators, and they have seen for the month of October. Once we get all the results in, they're seeing what's coming in, those report cards trending a lot higher towards our A and B range. So before I go on to the maintenance update, any questions about the monthly custodial section?
Mr. Nady, you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
I don't have a question.
I have 2 questions. Pritchardville and Whale Branch Middle School, over 100% staffing. Why is that?
Well, we felt like we needed to make ground up at those locations due to the short staffing that the school had had and some of the underperforming staff members that we did have. So we've gone ahead and just overstaffed the school to get it caught up and squared away, and then those people will be trained to fill in for other vacancies down the road.
Okay. All right. All right.
Any other questions? Okay. All right.
Colonel?
Yes. Oh, sorry, Mr. Dallas.
Not a problem. I just want to say I like seeing the trends by having the 3 months performance. Because you can see some of the improvements, and that's good to see. So thank you for that.
Wow. Okay, so we'll move on to the maintenance update. Again, the period of time is October 1st through the 31st. We're going to start with those work order percentage categories. So the first section you see is our fiscal year 24 data. That information is being reported to you for the period of 7/1/23 to 10/31/23 in your summary report. Just a few notes on that. The completed work order percentage did increase from 86% we reported in September to 91% in October. Also, we saw an increase in maintenance initiated work order percentages from 13 to 13% from last month's previous was 12%. Work order total counts have decreased overall by roughly 303 work orders. The completed work order percentage did increase from 97% in September to 106 in October, noting that we completed more than was requested during that time period. Maintenance work order percentage totals also increased from September at 15% to 16% in October. Moving on to work orders by craft, that section. So we always focus in this report on the 2 highest categories. So for this month, our 2 highest craft categories were plumbing and general maintenance. The plumbing work orders totaled 186. That was a slight increase from last month's of a reported total of 172. Hilton Head High School did have the highest number of plumbing work orders for the month with 19. We did find going through that data and just looking into further analysis of what those work orders consisted of, They were primarily work orders due to reoccurring sink clogs, toilet and urinal backups. So of course, maintenance technicians responded to those work orders to unblock and clean those drain lines. The next category that was high this month was general maintenance. From 184. So the current month in October was a 184, which was a slight increase from the previous month of 182. Coosa Elementary School did have the highest general maintenance work order total at 39. Some of the things when we evaluated those work orders were requests for ceiling tile, light replacement, floor tile replacement, pressure washing. Those types of requests are typical of a school that is actually preparing to be visited and evaluated by Palmetto's Finest Committee. So, and you'll hear this a few times in this report this month, both Bluffton High School and Coosa Elementary School did put in for Palmetto's Finest, and they do have an evaluation committee coming scheduled at the end of November. So it's a 2-week period that committee comes. They don't give you an exact date. It could be as early as November the 27th or as late as December the 8th. So we're obviously recognizing that, and we're going to see an uptick in work orders for both of those locations. And we'll report more. We're going to capture that information for the report next month.
And what location are those again?
Bluffton High School and Coosa Elementary School. Those are the two schools that applied for Palmetto's Finest Awards to be considered. The next section under work orders by craft I want to talk about is May River High School. And the reason we're bringing this up, this is outside of our two highest totals for the month, but we wanted to bring this up to circle back on the request to address the reoccurring HVAC issues at that site due to communication with the automated logic system. So that request was evaluated. Our district energy manager has worked with Harris Integrated to obtain a proposal to convert the HVAC system from wireless to wired communications to address these system outages. As you see here in the notes, the budgetary proposal that was submitted on November the 10th looks that the approximate costs are going to be $350,000 to make that conversion school-wide from wireless to wired. So I'm going to pause.
Mr. Day,
See if anyone has anything to say about
do you have
that.
any questions about or comments about the May River High School budgetary proposal?
No, I do not.
Smith?
Where is that money? What is it supposed to happen?
As of right now, it is not scheduled. If it became scheduled, it would come out at 8% funds. It was just brought up at a request at the last committee member meeting for us to investigate what it would take to get rid of the wireless system. And so that's what we investigated, and that's what we reported back.
What request is that?
It's the Colonel Dyer.
Yeah. Because they continued to have problems adjusting temperatures in individual rooms. And they said it was because the wireless communication between the box on the wall and the HVAC up above in the mezzanine or something wasn't working very well. And that's an issue. Sounds to me like it was a stupid design issue in the first place. To save a little money, instead of running the wires, they said we'll just do it wireless. I assume that we've looked at increased repeaters or other wireless enhancements.
Right. We've done everything we can, and basically this was a new system at that time that Harris proposed, and it's actually between each individual water source heat pump, and it's kind of like a daisy chain. So one water source heat pump will give its status to the next one on down, and then that's what's supposed to Quite honestly, I know it sounds like a lot, but I was kind of surprised at the cost that's lower than I thought it would be. I think our savings back when we did this in just for back when the school was open in 16 was about $250,000. So we saved about $250,000 in 16 by going to wireless, and if we go back, it's cost us in today's dollars $350,000, which is almost the same as what we saved back in the day. So
That's cool, is that? Okay, I suppose that we're going to have to then bring that up at 8%, talk about it in the 8% priority list.
it is something we can put on the list for this year if you ought to consider. Yes, sir.
The chaps me. Tell you, it really does, because that school. Now, when we put the additions in, the additional wing, did we put wireless in that too?
It is wired.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure JD told me
Oh, great.
and Alexander that it was wired because they knew they had the issues.
So it's wired.
So they should not get those complaints.
Okay. Good. Okay.
All right, so moving forward, school blitz spotlight is the section where I am right now. Maintenance staff did complete a school blitz last month. They completed one south of Rod this month. They completed it at Well Branch Middle School. The school did collaborate with maintenance to establish those work order priorities during the blitz. 69 work orders were completed for a completion total of 97%. Maintenance staff are, as I spoke of previously, they are diligently working at those two come out as finance schools, Bluffton High School and Coosa Elementary School. And then I will include the results of that focus work in the report when we do the December maintenance report. Moving on to work order completion totals. The total work orders requested for both north and south of the Broad did decrease in October by roughly an average of 500 requests on each side. So that's a substantial decrease. The total work order completion percentages did increase for both north and south schools. North of the Broad schools showed a 98% and south of the Broad 107, which in September we reported 97%. So we did see an uptick in both of those categories. Completed work order percentages within the same month also increased by a few percentage points. And then the big number that we always look at or have looked at consistently over the last few months is our overall average work order completion time. And those have stayed steady. For north of the Broad schools, there was a 0.03 decrease as far as less days that it was taking or less time. And then for south of the Broad schools, we had a 0.61 decrease, so less time there. Moving on to staffing, currently staffing levels are holding around with an 89% reported in September, and now we're up to a 90.6. There are still open vacancies for our plumber, HVAC, general tech, and electrician positions, but we do have maintenance does have a new HVAC manager who is starting tomorrow. So that is great news. We are looking forward to that individual coming as part of that team. Recognizing success, maintenance continued to stay busy in October, completing several project initiatives during the month. Fencing, just to name a few, fencing repairs, assembly replacement, athletic equipment at Bluffton High School. They spent a good bit of time at the Fusky Island as well, doing a lot of small projects. There was an installation of 3 AED devices at Beaufort High School, and we also both maintenance, custodial, grounds, district office staff have completed walkthroughs at both of those Palmetto Finance schools too, to just identify from a facility aspect, what do we need to do to be prepared for these upcoming visits.
You skipped over the Bingo Library.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, I didn't add. Sorry. Yes, That's in the full report. So Levico Library, yes, there was a water line that did break. They did identify that. They were out on site pretty quickly. It was an extensive repair. I mean, it was back inside behind the brick wall. But they did address that and they did repair it and get ahead of it.
We need to get rid of that property. That's what there. It's just crazy that we're having to maintain something that the county uses because of our agreement. And I don't know where now that the county is in disarray, I don't know that we can get anybody, especially in that particular department is the one that has the problem.
Well, my question would be if, or the same way how you mentioned other people paperwork, why can't we submit that to the county?
Well, we wouldn't make them count. We have to maintain, we wouldn't make a pay for that. That's our building. That's actually, so the building that had the leak is actually the Head Start building.
Right.
And so, I mean, we just had to fix it. There's a big puddle out there. It's one of those things, you have a massive leak, you just have to fix it. Make sure it doesn't cause any problems. Part of our problem with now the sales of the property is Head Start as, stated interest again in it. So it's now muddled again in between Head Start and the county.
Well, you know, I hate to say this. I think that one of the issues are two in terms of that leak. Just sometimes the leak just come and get bad over a week. It gets bad over a period of time, and I just don't know if we have the people to maintain and watch and expect correctly our buildings and our facilities as though we should. I mean that's to be truthful, and that's something that does concerns me. And then that was the same issue I had with one of the last groups that was in here. Is that I don't know if we really truly look over our facilities and which is that, you know, it should have the attention to. Just like a baby. When you have a kid requires time. A dog requires time. It requires maintenance, like or a car. So in terms of the report, I do have a question. I heard your maintenance report, and I heard what you said about the maintenance. Same thing. There was a couple visits. I mean, I know one of them. I talked to Robert. We and Robert talked back and forth for a minute, and the report had been the work order had been put in a long time ago. It took a long time for that work order to get processed, and that one was a safety and security concern. You know. So
Beaufort High,
yeah, for that one, yeah, that one Beaufort High, yeah, that was so. You know, so I appreciate your reports, but I'm still concerned in terms of how we're systematically weighing the needs of these work orders, because that one was a straight access to their students at one of the schools, and to me that should be a number one priority. You know, when we get a referendum saying safety and security, and we have a security issue at the school, and that's not addressed or immediately. So that's once again, you know, that's one that's been proven. No one can say, "Oh, what's it got you?" Or, I didn't know about it. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that?
So that does the next page, the beginning of page 6 are just pictures from Well Branch Middle School.
Okay, let's Mr. Nay, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
Mr. Dallas? I'll take your time. Okay. Before we get into the pictures, that's nice and everything, but have you considered at the end of this semester is sending out to each principal. Pardon me? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's move on.
Yeah, so the next section are performance surveys. Performance surveys went out to, based on what we spoke about in the October meeting.
Right.
To solicit feedback for facilities and maintenance custodial contractors to gauge where they are. So we'll start with custodial results. 29 responses were received out of 32. That gave us a 91% response rate. How it's broken down on what you're seeing is the survey data is shown over 4 pages. That encompasses a 3-year period from February 2021 to October of 2023. It's broken down into 7 categories. The first one shows customer service. And then the remaining 6 sections are organized by building and then the specific scope of work tasks within that area. So, just in a nutshell, I'm going to summarize, under the customer service section, we can see an increase in 3 of the 5 questions with the rated courtesy level of in-school staff, staying the same as the previously reported period, and the responsiveness of staff to requests dropping from a 3.13 reported during the previous period to a 3.0. The remaining 6 sessions, we do see a decrease in all of the questions with an average drop of 0.2, except for 1 survey item showing an increase in media centers under dusting and furniture, which was a 241 reported from a 239. In conclusion, Robert and I met with HES custodial management team, Mr. Zimmerman, as well as Mr. Pullen last week to discuss the performance survey results. We discussed the summer cleanup not being successful with HES, experiencing a high level of staffing turnover, as well as an account manager's replacement midsummer due to medical issues. In response to the survey results, HES is implementing the following: creating another zone and hiring an additional zone manager to give more span of control in the field. Revamping their hourly worker incentive plans, bringing in an additional training manager the week following Thanksgiving with their primary function to work with and support the account zone manager through Christmas break. HES is also committed to increasing the monthly visits and inspections by upper management, and this concludes the results discussion of the HES portion of the surveys. I'll open it up for questions or comments before I move on to the maintenance results.
Okay, Mr. Nate, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not. Thank you.
This is all good. This is a great management tool for the district, for the operations department to manage these contracts. But there's one thing that's missing. That's what I want. Very simply, at the end of the semester, twice a year, you go to each of the principals and you have them for maintenance and for custodial by their assessment. Very simply, 1 to 10. Are you satisfied with the custodial? 1 to 10. Are you satisfied with the maintenance? 1 to 10. 1 being low, 10 being high. That's the kind of thing that school boards need. This is great for you folks. You need this. I'm not saying you don't. You absolutely need this to monitor this contracts that we have. But for the board, I need to know by building, by school, from the principal. How satisfied are you with both of those programs? 1 to 10.
You saying with that one question?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. And anything more, I don't want the principals to go out and look under closet doors and all that kind of stuff. I just want their overall assessment.
Okay.
And then then you can take that and say, oh, you got the principal that says it's a 3. Well, going down, what more do we need to do? We have the data. What's wrong? Okay, that's our most important customer as far as I'm concerned, is our principals. They're the ones that deal with this every day. So the board needs to hear. Do you agree?
You know, that was my problem. But not take this away.
Oh, no, you're right.
Okay, yeah.
No, not take it away. It's,
In addition to, got it.
yes, this should not be a big kabuki dance to have to do this. A simple question.
But I do agree because the principals let you know and their staff start to let you know exactly about these things when you hit their building, you know, when you start asking questions. And really, they don't let you know, their staff let you know, we ain't happy. Mr. Smith, I just took out my trash.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Mr. Nate, do you have anything about that?
Negative, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Would you like to move forward with maintenance or?
Pardon me?
Would you like to move forward with the remaining part with the maintenance results or?
No, that's enough.
It's not, okay. All right, yes, sir.
In terms of what else did you have for me?
Just the maintenance results. So I just spoke to the custodial results, but the maintenance results are in there as well.
Yeah. You take it with you, take a look at it.
Well, no, actually, in terms of maintenance, we hadn't previously had any problem with this, correct?
Not that it's been noted, no, sir.
No, this is a question. Right, yeah.
It hasn't been noted in the operations committee that there's been concerns with maintenance.
Okay, well, no, with that is okay, but I mean, I just want to make sure that there's nothing to report when we tell you to move forward that you know, you might need to let us know about, but no, I just want to make sure that everything in the maintenance report is, yeah, is outstanding.
Okay. I'm gonna take a 5-minute recess for my 75-year-old bladder.
We're almost there.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Robert.
Go ahead. I know they were, but they need to go back because they didn't come back to the other night.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Robert.
Oh,
I'm gonna
you're
jump
welcome.
in.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
We're
unmuted now.
Back into session. Now going into the construction update. I somehow have misplaced my copy.
I think this is your copy. Right?
Oh, maybe that's why. Here. Okay, thank you.
That will be me, Mr. Corbin, a little under the weather, so wasn't able to join us. I will try to go through this very quickly. The biggest item, which you're aware of, Robert Small's Leadership Academy with the yellow traffic lights, but with the board's approval on November 7th of J.E. Dunn's Amendment number 11, which approved the GMP for the asbestos work in phase 2. Next time, the traffic lights will move from yellow to green because we now have a new schedule and a new budget, which they will be in line for. At the last meeting, also some questions were asked about the punch list and the status. So you'll find that there is an update on Robert Small's Leadership Academy punch list updates, which I can go through very briefly. I'll hit the high points. They've been working very hard to get these numbers down. They started with 1,091 punch list items. As of yesterday, they were down to 20. The substantial completion date was set for September 14th, which put their final completion date of November 13th, which would be this week. We did get a letter from the architect today regarding the punch list items and acceptance of them. And I will read that to you real quick. Bring it up. I did not have time to get it in your packet. But basically this is from John Hughes, who's the principal architect with LS3P. Upon notification from J.E. Dunn Construction Company and at the request of Beaufort County School District, LS3P provided an on-site review of the ongoing contractor's punch list and substantial completion status for Robert Small's Leadership Academy. Representatives from LS3P were present on site November 7th and 14th for this evaluation. The contractor has made significant progress in addressing all items identified within the design professionals and engineer of records punch list. Punch list has now been reduced to approximately 20 outstanding items. Many of these remaining items require disruptions to daily school activities and must be done over the holiday break. The timeline for completion of these items exceeds the current contract limits for material completion. It is the professional opinion of LS3P that the owner may elect to extend final completion an additional 60 days. This will allow the contractor to complete the remaining punch list items while the school is unoccupied. In good faith efforts, liquidated damages will not be incurred. This option modifies the final completion date from November 14th, 2023 to January 16th, 2024. No additional construction costs will be incurred by the owner because of this time extension. Please do not hesitate. Contact me if you have any questions about this or want to discuss this opinion in detail. I will stop there.
I understand it, but I'm not happy with that. We have a Thanksgiving break. We can't get it done during that. It sounds like it's a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think some of it has to do with part ordering and items coming in and some of the issues. So yeah. I will say I did ask our project manager about the issuance of liquidated damages on J.E. Dunn. His response would be he'd highly recommend not because of phase 2 construction that has to go on. It will put them in a different posture going into phase 2. Is what his statement was. And so his recommendation as well would be to not put liquidated damage on. Final completion liquidated damages are $250 a day. In this contract.
Comment? Mr. Nate, do you have any comments?
Yeah, so was it you said it was their opinion that the rest of the work needed to be done when school was done in session. Is it their opinion? Do we share that opinion with them? So I mean, I'm just trying to understand the scope a little bit.
To be honest, I know the project manager shared that opinion. I do not have the detailed 20 items with me that remain to have an opinion on it. I have not looked into that. I could look into that and get back to you, get more detail about those 20 items that remain.
I would think that it's your opinion whether or not these last 20 projects require school to be shut down or not. So I'd be interested to hear your opinion on them.
I just said, well, I'll have to look into that. I don't know what the 20 items are. I have not seen the final 20 items on the punch list.
Yeah, I don't understand why the unilaterally they are deciding they can't do the work unless school's out. Or if we've tried to accommodate them saying, okay, can we move kids out of one classroom for something, or some unused space while they do the work during school, something to that effect. So I was just wondering if you had an opinion on it yet. So yes, I'd be interested to hear what your opinion is. Thank you.
Could you provide, when I give this report, the operations report, by Tuesday, could you be able to address that issue?
Yes, sir. You can definitely do that.
But then we know kind of what it is. If it's a supply thing.
That was my understanding of at least a couple.
If it's a supply thing, that's understandable, that everybody's having supply issues, getting stuff in here. But if it's just trying to find the time, if the school's not, well, I know 2 days every week that the school isn't there. That's Saturday and Sunday that they could get in. And to me, it sets a bad precedent for us not to hold these contractors to the contract. And if they don't do it, they have a penalty to pay. And I don't want them to say, well, Beaufort County School District, that's not any big deal if you don't get it done on time. That's wrong. That's just wrong.
I agree.
So how about digging into that little bit, and that'll be something that we bring up in the committee report on Tuesday, okay?
Can we also add that into the you said you didn't submit that, could you also submit that to the discussion so that she can put that in
the punch list items that remain?
Yeah, and board.
Oh, you're talking about the letter from the.
I mean,
Yes, definitely, yeah. Well, I'll definitely provide that.
Good idea. Okay. Okay, anything else in the construction?
Main items, if I can show you one cool thing real quick, or to me, if you go to slide 13, that's kind of the rendering of the new elementary school that's going to be on the May River campus. So yeah, this is kind of the first time we are showing this. It's a elevation view. That canopy coming out is the front view. It's kind of interesting that we're doing on the top is, oh goodness, what do you
Like hardy plank.
Yeah,
hardy plank.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It has a low country look that we're thinking it's coming along very well, and I'm very excited about how it's going to turn out.
Could you give me a general picture of where this is on the campus? Because I really haven't.
So if you go on in the bus loop, the second entrance to May River.
Yeah.
So if you go in that second entrance, May River's on your left.
Right.
You'll be two ponds on your right.
Yeah.
And in between those two ponds, it's going to be straight out there.
Okay.
If you go between,
Straight and kind of left.
yeah, it'll go kind of behind the one pond. It's in a bunch of trees right now.
Yeah, I was out there the other day, and I drove out around the perimeter there to try to see where it would be.
Next meeting, we will provide a site plan, because we got a site plan that shows, and we'll give you some better color pictures and things. So we'll make sure to have a site plan. Okay. Outside of that, I think most of this you've heard at the more recent meeting. You know, financials were reported, I think that they did at the end of October. So these are the same numbers from the that were reported to by the clock meeting, the last board meeting. So really nothing's changed here.
One thing, Victor and Will, clock meeting, I made a mention that we need to have a lessons learned session so that we can all come together and learn about what we learned in the last referendum. And there's just a whole lot of things that we learned about scheduling, about communications and so on. It would be good to capture all of that before we launch into this next referendum. And I think it would be good for the board. It'd be good for operations to kind of review all of this. And it might take a special call meeting in January or something, but we need to start off this new referendum with knowledge of what we could have done better in the last referendum. There's not a lot that we could have done better. We did a lot of stuff good, but there are some things that we learned about that. So
is that an operations or is that a joint? Are you proposing that as a future topic for operations or a special call for
a special call full, but I'm gonna mention that in the report and see if there's any feedback from the rest of the full board about this. But it seems to me that this is a very good opportunity to take this and let the public know, yeah, we're learning. We did a great job, but we can do a better job in this next one. It's okay, Victor?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. After action reports are always a good thing, and was something that is with a $400 million price tag looming on the horizon. I think learning from our last evolution would be great. However, I think we should have it come to the operations committee first. Maybe in your next brief, let them know that the operations committee will be hearing that in the future, and then we'll bring it to the full board.
That's good suggestion. Okay.
Or maybe we can even have a combined meeting with the or you and I, and then we can go to the next clock meeting and just talk about that one too as well.
Yeah, I already mentioned that to the clock, is the clock should provide their views on that as well.
Right.
So that would fit perfectly.
Okay. It will be on the December agenda of the clock.
Okay, good. Okay. So we move on.
This was kind of a discussion item. The discussion of easements, requested procedures. Ms. Boatwright requested that. So we have nothing to present. It's open discussion.
Okay.
Oh, well, what is that process? What is the process of? What was the question again?
It's about easement procedures, easement approval procedures, and I think you saw it in two renditions tonight. We had two easements brought in front of the board. And typically the process is they contact me with, or anyone on our staff with a request for an easement. Once that request is made, I typically tell them, I need information put together and tell them the date of the next operations committee. And typically I invite them to the operations committee to present their request for the easement. It is at that time voted on by the operations committee, and then your recommendation is taken to the board for approval of the easement. We'll say we do not, I actually don't even know if it's, but every easement is brought to the operations committee if we can, and then on to the board for approval.
So let me ask you this question then. Where can I go? The information you just gave me, where can I go on the district website and find that out? That's a problem. That's a problem. If I can't go on the district website and get the process of that, that's a problem. And that's a problem. Let me tell you why. Because say for instance, someone comes in there and they say, well, oh, wow, the way how we it didn't go that way for us. Well, why not? Or basically, it's questionable, and they can say we neglected to offer them a fair chance. And then we say, well, how do you know that? And when they ask the same question I just asked you, that becomes problematic. That we've left the door open. So now that we figured out that the door is open, and we did that, then we need to fix that.
Wendy, you don't know of anywhere that's in ARs. Even in board policy, I think, or somewhere in board policy, you have to approve all
You
this.
have to approve.
Yeah, approval.
That-
He's talking about the
Procedures.
procedures and for
Yeah.
somebody who's thinking about building something near one of our buildings, how does he find out what he's gotta do or she gotta do to get an easement through school property or whatever? It should be a central place.
On our
Very good point.
operations, they could contact you, informate requests
Well,
for easements.
I think we could
Requests.
put something together, just like what Robert explained, sort of brief, here's the
Yeah,
process,
this is the
contact
process.
Robert on to start them, to initiate it.
Well, also start the process, but once you initiate it, it needs to be something in writing. You know, when you get something and you go to the county building, they stamp it, so you know that they came in and it's something in writing, so if it's foilable. If someone someone say, well, yeah, I just took it straight to the to the operations committee. Yeah, or what was the process before that? Or we contact Robert. Well, what if Robert's no longer an employee of the district? So that's.
We have to have another person.
Well, you
Yeah, we
just
need to have an
contact the
individual.
operations department.
Yeah.
Right.
That's in the paper today at Port Royal.
What's in the
They're
paper?
having that problem, exact same problem as you just mentioned
What
at
is it?
Port Royal.
Oh, yeah.
With an apartment being built, apartment complex being built behind somebody's house. And the process wasn't laid out
They didn't have the public hearing and have notice?
and they're suing and, you know, all that because exactly what you said. That wasn't locked down in its county, the county's being having a problem. And Victor, you got an issue?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just be concerned about the rabbit hole. I respect the opinion of my esteemed colleague from the 3rd District, but if we start laying out the process for everything the school district does on the website, then the website loses its ease of navigability. But I mean, I do believe that, you know, we should have like a maybe just a generic landing page for all legal and or real estate issues, contact operations department, something to that effect. But we start laying out processes for everything that the school district does. It's that's too much information on the website, and somebody's job got to constantly maintain that. I mean, I think it becomes an infrastructure issue. But just putting general information for following inquiries, you know, contact this person, that kind of stuff.
I hear you. But this is one of the issues that the growth that we've got going on around here, we're gonna have these kinds of things come up more and more often. Especially in the Burton area, especially around, there's a big, one of the things that Earl Campbell's gonna mention, there's a big apartment complex going in right by Battery Creek High School. And we're gonna have to deal with the same issue with that. And I agree, we can't do it for everything, but this is a sticky wicket. Exactly. That it is something that we probably should have some place where the county, the contractors and other interested people can go in and look at it, and we have a system where we stamp it, it was approved, and so, you know, you've got to have that. Otherwise, you're gonna have problems.
What I was thinking when you're talking more than the website was an AR. It's adding an AR to address.
Yes.
We should have something on the website that says easement requests, you know, just some small thing. just to let people know the phone number and how
Well,
to reach operations, yeah.
Plus the
Process.
steps.
Yeah.
This is the steps that you've got to go
Written
through.
request with a plat.
And
if you
the
would-
plat, and it's got to be stamped, date stamped, and so on.
Just like that.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. But you
Okay.
started.
Got it. Let's chew on that some more.
Okay.
We have property for sale already on the website. We could easily add to there. Any easement request, please contact us.
That would be good.
That we can.
If we have to list the states that we have to list on our surplus property.
Okay.
That's it, the tax map.
Okay, are we ready to move on from that? I hear no objection. The
Yes,
future
very much. Please
topics-
move on. Thank you.
Future topics, any future topics? Okay, are we ready to go into executive session?
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into executive session for receipt of legal advice relating to the pending quiet title action legal claim pursuant to South Carolina Code annotated section 30, tag 4, tag 78-2.
Oh, second, yes.
Second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. So we're now going into executive session as soon as Robin shuts us all down.